know what exactly changed, but they should probably go back to whatever they were doing last season.
And it looks like they're tackling, like they're so concerned about tackling that they're going to move Landon Collins to linebacker because they need him to play up to stop the run. So, yep, they're planning on moving Landon Collins to linebacker, not because he's not playing well, but because they need him at linebacker. That's the state of the Washington football team right now. That and two, people that are important to the team are not with the team right now because they're being investigated by the DEA, but whatever.
And it's fair to question if they'd be better with Fitzpatrick. Heineke looked solid after Fitz went down initially, but he's definitely regressed since then. He looks like he's scared to throw the ball half the time now, which is not something you want to see out of what you had hoped was possibly your future quarterback. Fitzy, I think, was supposed to be out for what? Was it 6 weeks or was it 8 weeks? I'm guessing
6.
Since he's not.
He's ready to play this week.
Is he? Is that what he said?
That's what I've heard.
Okay.
That's what I've heard.
Okay.
Is that he is?
We'll see if that can stop the bleeding a little bit, get the defense off the field more. I want to see Fitzy slinging it to Scary Terry.
Here's the thing. I don't mean to cut you off, but you've had Fitzpatrick on the Jets, correct?
Yeah.
And Dan Beebe, you've had Fitzpatrick on the Bills, correct?
Yep.
All right. Now, he did a good enough job of avoiding pressure and chucking the ball up to receivers, correct?
Yep.
The first game of the season, he showed he can't do that. That offensive line will not let him. The offensive line's not good. He comes back in, he's going to be on his ass all game. I don't think...
He played half a game, so I don't want to write him off quite yet.
I'm not even saying it's necessarily his fault, but that offensive line really isn't good.
Needs work, as do a lot of offensive lines. Let's be honest. Offensive line quality has gone down in the NFL.
Yeah,
I don't know why. They need to pay more or something, but
I don't know. But yeah, Mahomes figured it out in the second half. First half of the game, at halftime, the Washington football team was up 13-10. And then the Chiefs scored 21 unanswered and won 31-13. And here's the thing. The Chiefs' defense is really bad. Like, it's not good at all. And so I don't understand how they couldn't score in the second half. I know Mahomes was going crazy slinging it. But the Chiefs' defense is probably one of the softest in the league. That's including Tyrann Mathieu. And any team that is decent with the pass will torch the Chiefs. They need to get that figured out. Like, as a Cowboys fan, I am licking my lips because I trust the Cowboys defense to stop the Chiefs way more than I trust the Chiefs defense to stop the Cowboys.
You mean like what Buffalo did to them on Sunday night?
Like what Buffalo did to them, exactly. Yeah, I agree. That's exactly correct. And let's look at their other games. They beat the Browns 33-29. The Ravens beat them 36-35. The Chargers beat them 30-24. The Eagles put up 30 on them. The Bills fucked them up. Like, when they play the Titans, when they play the Packers, when they play the Raiders, when they play the Cowboys, when they play the Chargers again, hell, even when they play the Bengals, their defense is going to be struggling against these teams. They need to fix that now before it's a problem later. Because if they don't...
I think we talked about this in some of our off-season episodes with their drafting and with their off-season moves. They haven't addressed defense. and the wheels are falling off, and they haven't addressed defense in a long time, and previously their offense has been good enough to hide a lot of those issues, but then they made a whole bunch of changes to their O-line, not all of them positive, and now their offense can't quite make up for how poor the defense is playing. It's they got some Swiss cheese defense there, and I definitely think they are extremely vulnerable. I don't think they're going back to the Super Bowl this season. How are you going to say, even after the Bills lost to the Titans, how are you going to say that they can beat the Bills when it counts, when their defense is that bad? And now the Ravens are rising. I think the Ravens are, potentially better than them.
I don't think it's potential.
It's looking like a Bills-Ravens AFC championship the way things are standing right now.
Mm-hmm. It definitely does. Maybe even, who knows, what we saw from the Ravens against the Chargers I think was kind of fluky. I think if they play again, it's a much closer game. But, yeah, the Ravens look like they're definitely on the up and up. And I just listed all those teams. The Titans, Derrick Henry's going to fuck them up. Derrick Henry screws up a lot of teams, but he's going to fuck them up.
Oh yeah, he's gonna run over them like a freight train. And this is why last episode I said the Titans are a contender, because it's mostly him.
Yeah.
He is a monster.
The Raiders,
and then you got when they have healthy AJ Brown, it's a completely different thing as well, because he is almost as big as Derrick Henry is, and your defense is already worn out and scared of tackling these dudes by the time the fourth quarter comes around, and then they're just trucking you to death.
Right. It's just the Chiefs need to fix the issue on defense now, or they're going to finish third in the division at best. Because the Chargers and the Raiders are going to destroy them. Like, not even close.
I mean, I want to see these divisional games before I say that, because the Chargers just got exposed by the Ravens. So, we were looking at them like they were an unstoppable force just a week ago, but they got their asses handed to them. And their defense looks just as weak as the Chiefs defense. So it's probably gonna be a fun game, because it's gonna be a ton of scoring the first time they face the Chiefs, but you're not gonna win a championship without at least a decent defense, and neither of them I think can say that they have a decent defense.
Right. But I just think the Chiefs defense really, I really don't think we already saw the Chargers beat them. We are going to see the Raiders and the Chiefs coming up in 4 weeks, 5 weeks actually, because there's a bye in there.
Wait, they did lose to the Chargers, right?
Yeah, Chargers already beat them. Yeah. Yeah, so this next stretch on, let's see.
And to be fair to the Chargers, they didn't have Mike Williams, who's pretty clearly Justin's favorite target against the Ravens, but still their defense got their asses handed to them by the Ravens.
Right, and like I said, I think that was a little fluky. I think they play again. It's a much closer game. I don't think they're going to get their asses handed to them the same way. But
I hope so. You know, Herbert's my boy.
Yep. But after the Chiefs play the Giants, they play the Packers, then they play the Raiders, then they play the Cowboys. That's a difficult 3 weeks with high-powered offenses that are just going to chew your defense up. So, we'll see, but I have very little faith in the Chiefs' defense to actually stop the Titans, Packers, Raiders, or Cowboys. And the Chargers. And like I said, even the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to throw all over them. I really do. So,
we'll see.
Not too enthusiastic about where the Chiefs are this season, but until they're out of it, I'm not going to say they're out of it. Because they could turn it around. They could realize they need help. Like, there are things that they could do. Yeah, I was just going to say, it's clear that Xavier Howard wants out of Miami. He's a guy they could go get. Cowboys have been talking about trading Leighton Vander Esch. There's a guy they could go get. Both of those guys immediately make impacts on that defense. So, we'll see. Next, we're going to do one more, then we have to go to another break. And then we're going to have to go rapid fire because we're going a little long. Next game, Panthers 28, Vikings 34. What a game. Cousins, 373 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Sam Darnold doing Sam Darnold things, 207 yards, 1 touch, 1 pick. Chuba Hubbard struggling. Got a solid 61 yards, but it wasn't... I wouldn't say he looked comfortable getting those yards. On the other hand, Dalvin Cook looks really fucking comfortable. 29 carries, 140 yards and a touch. Adam Thielen, 11 catches, 126 yards and a touchdown. It's just, the Vikings are the most frustrating team in the NFL to me because they have the talent to be a Super Bowl contender, but they have the ability to put it all together like they're a fucking Canadian football team. You know what I mean? Like, that roster. If I told you a team has Kirk Cousins as their quarterback, who, let's stop with all the bullshit. He's a good quarterback. They got Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson. They've got Dalvin Cook. You'd think that offense is an elite offense, right? Their offensive line sucks. They addressed it a little bit. But they're so frustrating because they should be way more competitive and have the edge over teams like the Panthers. Like, obviously they did this week. They won. But they should have beat the Bengals. And we all saw that Dalvin Cook was down. The refs have been terrible this year with their replays. Dalvin Cook was down. They should have beat the Bengals. They should have beat the Cardinals. They missed a field goal. Cardinals shouldn't be 5-0 right, or 6-0 right now. The Vikings should have beat them. They did beat the Seahawks. They played a sloppy game against the Browns. They barely beat the Lions. They beat the Panthers in overtime. So every game this season has been one score or less, with the exception of a 13-point victory over the Seahawks. That's so frustrating. Because they should be good. And are they good? I don't know. Like I said, they were some bullshit away from beating the Bengals. So they'd be 4-2. They missed a field goal toward the end of the game that allowed the Cardinals to kick a game-winning field goal. So they should be 5-1. The game against the Browns is very sloppy. That is a bad game for them. Vikings could very easily and probably should be 5-1 right now. But they're not. They're 3-3 because they shoot themselves in the foot constantly. You know?
Yeah. They finally got back to the run game, and I think that's what they need to rely on. You got Dalvin Cook, you got Alexander Mattison. That's potentially one of the most lethal running games, and then that allows you to do a bunch of play action, get Jefferson and Thielen open, and be efficient with the football. Their defense is still a little shaky, but yeah, they are, I think, better than a 3-3 record. I want to see. I want to see if they can start to put it together against strong teams,
and they've also got D.D. West.
So far, they keep making those mistakes that kill you, and that's what good teams get away from. They stop making those mistakes. They become like a well-oiled machine, and that's what you got in the real contenders. And right now, they're not a real contender.
No, they could be. They just don't put it together. Any thoughts on this Dan Beebe before we go to break?
Curious to see what happens, as you said.
Well, Cowboys play them on what's that holiday coming up in 2 weeks? Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah, they play them on Halloween.